What other things did you get up to with Dave Courtney?
He came there to see me and he walked in, he went, I need to have a word with you. And he got this big bag of out. He went, that's for you. Oh, Dave, I'm at work. I don't want a bag of around me. He went, no, I smashed your car up. I went, what?
Is there ever a time when you ever came unstuck on the door?
Particularly in my very early days, there was one which sticks in my mind. I can never forget it. All these guys started sort of piling in and I'm thinking, this is a bit weird. And then all of a sudden, one of them's like literally walloped one of the doormen. And we were literally standing in the pub fighting with like the bat and table legs against like, well, it seemed like the whole pub had turned on us by this time. And all of a sudden, this carving knife has come out and been put under my bollocks. And then this other guy pulls out a club hammer, like a proper club hammer, and he's holding it at my head. And they're going, you buy off us or you buy off no one. So I started growling at them and they jumped back. To my amazement, they all took a step back and I thought, I'm on a winner here.
Marcus, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here again.
Yeah. Part 4.
I know. I'm going to have to get a room down here or something.
Unreal. Every time we finish an episode, we go, if you want more of Marcus, part 2, part 3, and now we're coming back for part 4 because everyone's just wanting more and more of these mad stories you got.
Well, I'm happy to tell. They're happy to listen.
Yeah. I haven't seen you, a couple of months?
Yeah, it's been a while since the Bournemouth Sevens.
That's right.
Yeah.
You and Tucker come down?
Yeah.
With the missus?
Yeah, with the wives, yeah. Yeah, it was a good weekend. It was brilliant. It was good. I've never been to anything quite like that.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Absolutely.
Enjoyed it.
Well, let's roll all the way back. We're not going to roll all the way that back far because what's interesting here is since you come on the podcast, you've been like the UK's most notorious doorman. It's everywhere. It's an honour.
It's quite an honour. I get recognised in the street now. It's like, I'll be charging for autographs next.
Quality. Selfies and all sorts. Right, let's roll the way back. I just want to dip in a bit further. I know we got loads of stories. You got loads more stories and we're bouncing back on the phone all the time. But oh my God, I've got a list here for you. Is there ever a time when you ever came unstuck on the door?
Yeah, there's not like huge amount of time because I wouldn't have been so successful as a doorman. But particularly in my very early days, there was one which sticks in my mind. I can never forget it. So in Ramsgate, see, I was my nickname used to be Marcus from Margate or Margate Marcus. Yeah. So I was considered to be a Margate doorman even when I was young. But in actual truth of it, I lived in Ramsgate, and so I got this job in Ramsgate at a place called the Van Gogh. It was a big pub with a nightclub underneath it. And Ramsgate in those days was very sort of territorial. So Ramsgate and Margate used to be fighting with each other. If the Ramsgate boys went to Margate, there'd be a punch up and vice versa. So obviously when 4 of us, I think it was 3 or 4 of us was doormen, went into work in a place in Ramsgate, we were considered outsiders. So there was a group in Ramsgate at the time who were known as Renter Riot, okay, which is I know it's a strange thing, but they were collectively known as Renter Riot. Basically, it was all the Herberts from that sort of town who could have a row or like to have a row or would cause trouble, but they could muster really big numbers, and that was their drinking hole. So we didn't really know that at the time. We'd gone in there, we're just doing a door as normal, and someone's misbehaved, so they got told off, and they got a bit leery because it's their territory sort of thing, and we were outsiders. So the first weekend we worked there, I think one of the guys, he got chucked out and he got a slap or whatever. Anyway, we didn't think much of it. It wasn't a big incident, but the following week, all these guys started sort of piling in, and I'm thinking, this is a bit weird. It's early doors as well, and it just kept coming, And then all of a sudden, one of them's like literally walloped one of the doormen. And I heard this fella say, he was supposed to wait till we all got a beer, right? And then we was going to glass them. And I thought, oh, shit. So anyway, I'm thinking it's going to kick off. But before I get time to do anything more, it all went. So there's like probably 35 of them who've just come through the doors. And there was, like I said, 4 of us working there. Yeah, there was, Steve, who was a steel fixer, really strong little fella, good scrapper. Brian Davies, unfortunately, is not with us. It was my training partner at the time, quite a big lump. And this huge guy who was working with us, who was about 6'7", called Neil. And there was an open fireplace just inside the door. And that's where they pushed one of the doorman's heads in and trying to put him in the fire. And the rest of us, they're trying to glass us and they were just showering us with bottles and glasses. And I actually that night, I don't know why, I'd taken a precaution. Something must have, I'd put a bat behind the door, but I had to fight my way back to the door to get it. Right, so I'm fighting my way through, and I'm getting battered. And just as I got to the door, I had a little bit of longer hair. I had a jet hair then, and someone actually grabbed my hair and started trying to pull me back into the fight. But I was trying to get out. I think they probably thought I was running away, but I was trying to get my hand around to get the bat. So anyway, I got this bat and I swung this bat round, and then they backed off a little bit. And we pulled. I got one of the other doormen free. We pulled a table over, turned it over, and we'd broken the legs off the table. And we were literally standing in the pub fighting with like the bat and table legs against it seemed like the whole pub had turned on us by this time. Because although 35 of them had come in, the rest of the pub weren't too happy with us either. So I think that was a little bit of a funny one, actually. I'm in the reception area sort of swinging the bat around, and some poor girl walked in the door, donk, unconscious. I didn't think of that at the time. Yeah. But anyway, we've had to literally leave the pub. That's the only time in my entire career as a doorman where we couldn't stay. Wow. I mean, you never, the golden rule is you just don't leave. But when everybody in the place felt like they wanted to kill us, lynch us, you know what I mean? And we had to get out of there. We would have been, we was hurt anyway, but we would have been, yeah.
What's the first port of call for you when you're going, right, I'm actually leaving the building here? Are you thinking, right, I need to ring a load of geezers just in case it kicks off again, or they're going to come back the following week?
We were sort of, like I said, we were sort of outsiders in those days. I was only young then. I was about 18 or 19, so I was a really young doorman. It wasn't even a first regular door job. It was a stab at it. Do you know what I mean? Someone said they need doorman there. So, but we got out of there and we sort of rung our mates in Margate. We're like, shit, this happened. You know, I mean, now it's quite embarrassing really to think that you actually left the door. But and I'm sure had it been our door for like, you know, a year or months or whatever, that wouldn't have happened. But it was literally our second weekend, and the whole place just erupted. You know?
How have you felt like when you first started there? And all your stories are fantastic, because I know when someone's here just going, boom, this is what's happened. You got no spice on the stories. This is what's happening. Cards on the table, and I think that's why everyone out there is actually loving all these episodes.
I tell it exactly as I remember it, right? And if there's anyone out there who remembers the stories I'm talking about, please leave a comment.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, out of the last ones, I've had police contact me and go, "Oh, I was that policeman who arrested you."
Is that right?
Yeah, I've had so many people like who've gone, "Oh, yeah, that's exactly what happened," or "Did you remember this?" And it's brilliant.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, look, I've told stories that are embarrassing for me. Like I've just told one there. I've had to leave the building for God's sake. You know, it's hardly like Big Brave Doorman. I've had to get out of there. But I'm telling you the truth, and that's why I think this. Like I said, if people are willing to listen to stories, it's great.
Yeah. What was it like for you when you look back and say, "What the doorman from the when were you peaking? Sort of 90s and noughties?"
Yeah, I'd say 90s.
So you had 30 years on the door.
More than that. I mean, I started the door when I was 17.
Yeah.
And I only retired probably at 57.
Right.
So 40 years. 40 years on the door. But out of that, 30 years of that was running my own business.
Yeah.
So I
Mark 1.
Yeah. So I Mark 1 Security, which is still going today. You know, it's run by Gareth Brett, and they've got loads of staff everywhere doing all sorts. So, I mean, like the first 10 years was learning how to do the job, really. So there's a lot of funny stories in those 10 years because, you know, there was no door course, and there was no one teaching anyone how to do it. So you basically learn off the older guys. So if you know, the new young lad comes on, and he's like an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
You know, because no one knows. You don't until these things actually happen.
Yeah.
You know, another thing is when you're telling these stories about, like, you know, the fighting and stuff. It's not because I'm proud of the fact I knocked someone out, but I'm just trying to get it across to you how it was. I mean, on Margate particularly, when we used to have the coach parties come in the summer. You know, you just can't put into. You try and imagine this. Try and imagine 70 coach parties coming into the town from London and various other places, Southend, whatever. Yeah. They come into the town. In those days, in the 80s, it was like they were all in football groups. Yeah. So it was like a coach full of Arsenal, coach full of Chelsea, a coach full of the headhunters, and they'd all come into town and want to beat the fuck out of each other and everyone else who got in between it. So when you were only in those days as well, there was no licenses, no uniforms, no radios. There was nothing. So you were literally like, you know, two guys in a pub, and then all of a sudden these coach parties turn up. Yeah. And, you know, they don't give a shit if you bar them because they're not coming down next week. They're going home.
Was it easier for you? It's always easier, obviously, being in the nightclub world as well. Like, you can stop them on the door and say you ain't coming in. Easier rather than trying to get them. They're in and then trying to get them out. Yeah. But even stopping on the front door, say, sorry, lad, you ain't coming in.
Oh, it's
still going to kick off.
Ace of Clubs was the funniest one. That used to have Ace of Clubs was a little club above a pub. And it was so narrow, the entrance, luckily, that's the only thing that saved us. We couldn't have done it otherwise. But they had about 35 stairs going up to the club in a straight line. And I remember vividly this coach party on the stairs, and they were lined the whole of the stairs and out into the street. And they wanted to come in, you know, badly. Yeah. And I'm at the top going, nah, you can't, fellas, you can't come in. You're not from around here. I'm not letting you in. And they're like, we'll do this, we'll do that. I went, well, only two at a time. Because because he's not there. And literally, the first couple had a go, and and then they sort of rolled over the other ones. Like, who's next?
Domino effect.
Yeah, and not everyone wants to get a punch in the mouth, do they? Yeah.
Adrenaline. Talk to me about adrenaline being on the doors.
Yeah, do you know the adrenaline? I never really thought about it so much until recently. I was reading a book, funny enough, about another doorman.
Yeah. What was that book?
It was Watch My Back by Jeff Thompson.
Good book?
Brilliant book from Coventry. And it brought back so many memories because he tells it, he's a writer anyway, he's not just a doorman, he's a writer now. He's very descriptive and he tells it from when he was the newbie sort of doorman, or actually before that, when he was actually quite cowardly and didn't even have any confidence. And when he started talking about the adrenaline, I could relate to it because I remember my very first time on the door. You know, when you first have to go up and confront somebody that you might have to leave, or it could be a fight, and you are literally, your adrenaline is pumping, but you, in your mind, because you've never felt it before, you think, I'm scared. I don't think I could be doing this job. Okay. I'm scared. But you're not scared. It's your fight or flight. Yeah. And when you get, see, a lot of people, who've never had a fight in their life, when they get in that fight situation, that adrenaline hits, and they'll either back down because they think they're trembling with fear, and they are, but it's either going to put you through it or drive you away from it. Yeah. So on the door, it just takes a while before that settles a bit, if you know what I mean. And you learn to not control it, but utilize it.
I understand it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I've had over the years, I've had a few situations. Now, normally if you've got a big situation coming at you, like a coach party, the adrenaline's definitely up, right? But I've had a couple of situations where the adrenaline didn't come up, and I was a bit nonchalant about it. And those times, actually, I come unstuck nearly, right? Because I wasn't right on my game. Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't really taking the threat that was in front of me seriously enough. You
say you're on your game though, but you're an extremely polite doorman.
Yeah, always
well mannered and always been nice. But you said you come unstuck then, but then you said the word nearly. What happened?
That example actually, the one I was thinking in my head was, I'd had a night out. I was a night off work, and I'd gone out with another. My training partner at the time is Mrs. and my Mrs. So we'd gone out to a nightclub. It was rave days. It was probably early 90s. We'd come back from this club. We're a bit high still. We pulled in at a motorway services 3 o'clock in the morning for a bit of something to eat. We're on the way home. Yeah. Anyway, and there was a bunch of guys in there, but there was this one guy who made a really rude comment to my missus. And he was like, "I'll get your tits out," or something like that, So anyway, I thought, I was a bit rude. I went, "Oi, dickhead, shut your mouth and go away." Anyway, he didn't like being told off. So he's gone out and found his mates. Now, they didn't see what he'd done. So he's gone out and found his mates. Don't know what story he's told them. But this group of guys are coming. I'm sat down by now having a cup of tea and something. And these fellas have all surrounded me, right? And I'm still sitting in my chair like this. And I'm a bit flaky, I'll be honest. And they started threatening me basically. And I just not taking it seriously, even though there was about 8 or 10 of them. And this one bloke goes, he said, "You think we're idiots?" I said, "Well, you do sound like it. And you do look like it." "Yeah, I do. I think you're idiots." And then this one geezer's got a knuckle duster out, and I'm still not taking it seriously. And I was smoking at the time, and I had this little gun lighter, right? And I went, "Listen, you lot," I said, "I've got a gun. I'm not afraid to use it." Right? And at that point, they attacked me.
Did they?
Yeah, with knuckle dusters and everything. And I actually got clumped a couple of times while I was in the seat before I actually finally got my lazy ass up and had a fight with them. Yeah. But it was like having spaghetti arms. I was still strong enough to throw them around, but I couldn't punch. It was like being in a really bad dream. Right? I was like that. I had a marshmallow fist. And it was doing nothing. And in the end, they sort of went, after they tried to give me an hiding, sort of standing up, one of them went, "We're doormen, we shouldn't be doing this." And I was like, "No, we shouldn't." No. The next day I had 2 great big black eyes where the knuckle duster had smashed me. And lots of bumps and bruises. But that was an instant where, because the fight or flight thing, I wasn't paying attention. I was too relaxed. Yeah. If I'd have been on the door, obviously, and that same situation had come up, I'd have been waiting for that first thing, different reaction.
What were they, the little fellas?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I just wanted to hug everybody.
I want to give a kiss everyone. Tell me another time, like when obviously you're running the doors. You'd work the doors. You'd be a good group of lads. Then you would go and party in London. Mm. Tell me some times when you had some mad parties with Tucker,
mad parties,
or Courtney, or a load of the others.
Well, we went out most weekends. I mean, I used to work the doors in Margate. But most doors in Margate used to shut at 2. Yeah. So on the weekend, pretty much for about a 10-year period, I think, I would finish at 2. I'd have change of clothes, and I'd just I'd either go home and have a quick shower and then change and shoot off straight to London. We'd end up in the Ministry of Sound most weekends, and the Gas Club on Sundays. But those were awesome days.
They're the best days.
It was absolutely fantastic. I can't remember if I told this one or not. I used to go to this other club on a Friday. I used to go quite often on my own to a club called Hickory's, or Deja Vu, it was known as, in Swanley.
Okay.
And one of the things I used to go there for was originally to get away from everything, to get away from like being Marcus the doorman. Yeah. I could go there. At first I didn't know so many people. After like a year of going there, obviously the way I am, I'm motor mouth, I just end up chatting with everybody, knew all the doormen, knew all the villains, it was full of villains and drug dealers. Yeah. It was a mixture. And Kenny Noy used to go there and all that sort of crowd, which was interesting because he's the one who paid people to shoot at me. But yeah, I nearly had a fallout. His whole group, they recognised who I was.
Oh no!
And they wanted
in the club?
Yeah, half of them wanted to lynch me, and luckily there was some old boy. I don't know what his name was. He was with them, and he sort of basically stood them all down and went, "Leave him alone. He's all right. He's out for a night out. Leave him alone." But they were like, they weren't too happy.
Why they want to do you?
That was all like the same one about 1990 where I got shot outside my house when I had a row with a fellow in Frank's nightclub, and it ended up, he went to and fro. He started a row with me, punching me, and I punched him, and he came back, and I ended up picking him up, throwing him across the road, breaking his leg. And then 3 months later, they sent 2 guys down to shoot me outside my house, which we talked about on previous podcasts.
That's right, yeah.
But yeah, I was always told that it was arranged through Kenny Noy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no proof of that. That's just what I was told through the grapevine. Yeah. But when I was up in this club, like that crowd were in there this one night, and they recognised who I was. Do we know you? I was like, yeah, from Margate. And all of a sudden it went,
oh, no.
Oh, shit.
Did you say, do we know you? At peak, like height and weight?
Yeah, I was a big lump then. I mean, I'm an old man now. No. But I was like, I was 3 inches taller. I was 6'2" and I was about 19 stone. So I was a bit of a weapon.
Yeah.
And I was used to just working all the time on the doors and confrontation every night of the week. Yeah. So my sort of heightened senses were, I was pretty switched on most of the time, apart from when I had a pill.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I left there one night. So not that night, but another night. I left there one night, and as I'm leaving at 2:00, I bumped into a guy that I normally would have a drink with up there, and he said, "I haven't seen you all night." He said, "We're all going to a party at Bexley Heath." He said, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, I'm up for a party. So he said, go and get your car, I'll meet you around the front. So bearing in mind, it's 2:00, everyone's leaving, isn't there? So there's loads of people out in the car park, and I've just got my car, driven around the front. Where is he? I'm looking. And someone waves at the back of this brown Jag. So it must be him. So I follow this brown Jag. So it's in a procession of cars, about 7 cars, in a convoy. And I'm on the end of it, following this brown Jag. And it was going to Bexley Heath, which is where he said the party was. So we pull up outside this big sort of mansion, all up on the grass verge, all the cars are pulled up, everyone's got out, and I don't know anyone. None of them, right? And I thought, shit. So I thought, I'm not going to go home now, I'm here at a party, right? So they all walked in the house carrying drinks and things, and I thought, I'll go in. So I've wandered in with them, and everyone's sort of gone straight into the kitchen area, and everyone's getting the drinks out, and then all of a sudden, this guy's gone, oh, that's for that ounce of coke. Oh, those for the 500 pills and this and that. And I'm thinking, oh, shit. I'm in the middle of a drug dealer's party without an invite. This could go very sideways, very quickly, right? So I'm thinking, right. And I used to like a little bit of chiseling in the day. So I went, has anyone got a couple of grams for sale? This fella goes, what do you want? I said, 2. So I just tipped them out on the kitchen worktop, and I chopped them up into about 20 lines, and I held a little pipe up and went, anybody? And this queue formed in the kitchen. I'm not kidding. This queue formed, and they just come along one at a time and went, thank you, right? And it got to the end of the queue, and this fellow went, who are you? And I'm like, that could be a problem. Yeah. I was on my way to a party in Bexley Heath. I said, but I've obviously got the wrong one. I said, my mate's not here. And then they all sort of went really quiet. I went, what are we going to do with this fella? And everyone went, he seems all right to us. So they took a vote on it, and they let me stay. and I was there till 7 a.m. It was great. Yeah, made a lot of new friends.
What for you, was it that whole rave scene, the whole house scene? That was your best party days, right?
Yeah, definitely. If I could go back to the 90s and do it all again, I'd love to do that.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I went to Clockwork. Have you heard of Clockwork Orange?
I've heard of it, never been there.
Mate, I went Clockwork Orange this summer in Ibiza, and it brought back all the memories of the 90s. They just throw 6 parties, back-to-back days. Everyone there who would party in the 90s. It was
probably
amazing.
have a heart attack if I went.
No, you probably would do, yeah. Mate, July 2025.
Yeah?
Yeah, Ibiza. Fancy it?
I do fancy it.
Yeah. It's whether you can do.
I might need a booth somewhere, for a VIP booth or something. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I loved those days. I wish you could do it all over again. I mean, I know the youngsters won't appreciate it now when they hear us, old farts talking on it, going, "Oh, the days were good."
Yeah, but they were the best. Though.
It was awesome.
Agree.
I mean, one of my favourite jobs I used to get, security wise, was South Coast Weekender.
Yeah,
South Coast Weekender used to be in like you get like a Butlins.
Yeah. So all the accommodation on site type thing. Yeah, okay.
So it was that sort of thing. And I think they still do it now. Someone actually figured it out and went, look, this is a great place. It's shut in the winter.
Yeah.
It's shut. There's nothing, no money being made on it. So someone approached the park and went, right, we'll have it for a weekend from Friday to Sunday. And we'll have 3 different rooms, so they had all this different music playing in different rooms. Everyone had a chalet.
Yeah.
And the only thing was I got the job of security, which was not easy because you can't like throw someone out on Friday night and tell him he's barred or he can't come back for a couple of weeks because he's got a chalet. Yeah. So all you can do is like, slap his wrist and tell him he's got a 4-hour ban or something. Yeah. But it was amazing. And I handpicked all the doormen because I obviously wanted the people who come to it were party people, right? I mean, all right, we didn't get involved in the dealing. Yeah. We didn't get in. That wasn't our point. My point was to put good security on who had empathy for the people who were partying. Yeah. So keep it. There
was no ag there though.
There was very little ag, but it was more of a duty of care. Really, it was more like if you weren't going around not looking for fights, you were going around looking for someone who was maybe taking too much. Yeah. Someone who's like looking in a bad way, or they're lost in the corner somewhere, or they're climbing up the wall. Someone who took too much acid, for instance. But and then you'd have to try and get them to the first aid or find who they're with, and you looked after them. You wasn't primarily there for trouble. You was just there to make sure that weekend was what people came for. Good time. Brilliant.
Talk to me about guns.
Guns, yeah. Well, guns sort of came to the forefront. It wasn't something I chose to get involved with, but in a way, I mean, after the first time having people come to your house to shoot you, and it was a very serious time. We sort of joke about it now, but I've got to tell you, I wasn't joking about it then.
So, what year was that?
1990.
1990, okay.
So 1990, right at the start of all that rave scene sort of thing. After being shot at, I quickly made a phone call to a friend, and I figured that I'd have to arm myself. Yeah. Because I didn't know if they were coming back. And I know people that are listening are going to go, "Oh, that's illegal." Well, it is, but I didn't want to die. Yeah, right. I was allergic to bullets, and so I thought, right. So anyway, you don't get much choice. It's not like you go to a gun shop. Someone goes, "Oh, there you go, that one works." Yeah. So I had a Browning 32mm, lovely little gun, and so that was my first naughty piece, and that was like I took it everywhere. I went to work with it, locked it in the safe. So I travelled it in the car. I had it in my bum bag when I went to the gym. I had my bedroom door locked and the gun on the side. I had lights put around my house. It was awful. Yeah. I used to have 2 different cars. I used to take a shit car to work at that point, and then come home in a different. I'd have a nice car at home. It was awful. But what happened was, when I needed a gun, because I knew so many people, I quickly told everyone that I was looking for a gun. Yeah. And a load of them turned up. so I ended up with Derringers and revolvers and all sorts of shit. I thought, I don't want to turn any down. They've obviously made the effort. So for a while there, it was sort of something that I almost sort of dabbled in, if you like, because I had other friends that had similar problems. So I wasn't selling them to like bank robbers or anything. That wasn't my goal. But I mean, I had other mates who had similar problems. They'd had death threats. They'd had people would come to their house. They'd had whatever, and they wanted to protect themselves. So So
at that time when you got shot at, where were you?
At my house.
You're at your house.
I was in my house. I was just walking out of my house, and the 2 guys were across the other side of the road. Yeah. Yeah, I came out an hour earlier than I would have normally because I'd taken that night off work. Normally I'd come out about 9:15. I'd come out about 8:15. So they were plotting up. They were obviously plotting up. They were going to find a place that was good to shoot me from. And I disturbed them basically before then. They all sort of panicked. Yeah. So then they panicked and ran across the road and tried to shoot me. And that's really why I got away from it. I can't remember which one we talked about. I think it was on the first podcast we did. I think we talked about that.
Yeah. How many times have you been shot at there? You've been shot at before?
A few times. Guns have been involved a few times. Actually shot at twice, but threatened with guns on quite a few, on numerous occasions. Oh, I found a funny story actually. Right, so when you get these guns, right, obviously you can't just try them out anywhere, can you? Right, it's a gun. You need to know it works. So my parents at the time used to have this little, like, it's like a small holding. So about an acre of land, a few animals, whatever, a little menagerie. But they lived in the middle of the fields, no neighbours. So it was an ideal place. I grew up down there with shotguns and stuff, yeah. So it was the ideal place to try out any weapons I had, because it wasn't disturbing anyone and a bang wouldn't, raise any alarm. So 9 times out of 10, I would go down there and test them out down there. Anyway, but one day I got these little Derringers, and I used to belong to a pistol club before they banned pistols, so I'm a good shot with a handgun. And anyway, I thought, my garden's 65 foot long. I thought, well, I go to my mum and dad's, I can just put a box down the garden, I can shoot that. I'm a good shot anyway. So anyway, I don't know if I should tell this one, but anyway, I'm going to. So I've put this Derringers, for anyone who doesn't know, Derringers are a little tiny pistol, like it's really like a pistol that someone put in their purse or their handbag. Yeah. It's a tiny little thing with stubby barrels, and it holds two rounds of 2.2, like subsonic 2.2s, which are not devastating, but you don't want one popped in your head, it'll kill you. Anyway, so I've loaded it up and I've put a little box halfway down my garden and I've took aim and fired, and I've missed. I thought, that's not right. I normally hit them. So I put another 2 pops in and I've missed again. So now I'm getting a bit curious. I walked down the garden and I picked up the box, and there's definitely no holes in it. So I can't miss, surely. And I looked at my back fence, and there's 4 holes in my back fence, right? 4 holes. So I thought, shit. So, when you know who lives next door to you, because you see him every day, but you don't know really who lives behind you, So anyway, so I've got a 6 foot high wooden fence back in my place. So I'm looking, I'm peering over the fence. Anyway, this guy, there was a greenhouse behind my fence, right? Well, it used to be a greenhouse, and there's a pile of glass. Yeah. There's this, like, literally, it's in bits. So there's just a pile of glass sitting there. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck. So I thought, right, what am I going to do? I don't know what his name is, I don't know who he is, and I don't even know what number it is if I go around the other way. Yeah. So I wrote him a note. So I went indoors, wrote him a note. I went, I'm sorry about the damage. Please call me on this number. I'll pay for everything. Yeah. Right, again, sorry. Pinned it to his side of the fence because he's going to see the broken greenhouse. So anyway, the next day, I've got this really angry bloke rings me up, and I'm like, I'm ringing about the damage. I said, oh, listen, mate, I'm so sorry about that. So last time my son used his air rifle in the garden, right, because my son was like a teenager at the time. And I said, I'm really sorry about your greenhouse. He said, fuck the greenhouse. He went, my conservatory's in bits.
It's gone through, is it? It's
gone through the fence, through the greenhouse, and up his garden and and smashed his conservatory to bits. And the bullets are in his wall. Oh, no. So I'm like, anyway, he did come round for that, and I had to pay for the damages and a little bit more to keep him quiet.
Keep him sweet, yeah.
So, I never did that again. I was just so, imagine if he'd have been out there sunning himself in his conservatory, murder one.
Tell me about the second time you got shot at.
Second time was, Kemsley Arms, Sittingbourne. The house on the hill, as we used to affectionately know it. A huge pub on the top of a housing estate, only one road in, one road out, and it held about 800 people. Very rough. A lot of just generally rough people there, but also a lot of the travellers and gypsies in that area used to frequent it. No one used to park out the back because you wouldn't have any wheels on your car by the time you left the pub. It was very, very rough. And I was sort of sent there. It was bought by Thorley Taverns, who I've worked with through most of my career. In fact, they helped launch my career in a way. So they would buy pubs like that, and then because they loved me so much, they sent me there to sort it out. Go and have a look at that one. It needs a bit of work up there.
But that's where you were normally sent. You were normally sent to all the naughty clubs and naughty pubs to clean them up, right?
That's right. Yeah. Whenever there was a new place that or a place that other door companies maybe didn't want, someone would go, "Oh, Marks will do that." Yeah. and we did quite a few of those. But this was one of the worst. Yeah, definitely. And I upset a load of the travellers because and I've got anything against travellers. I've got quite a lot of friends who are travelling mates, but they generally haven't got a great reputation, have they? And there was a lot of bad ones coming in there. There was a lot of good ones as well, but there was a lot of bad ones who I couldn't let in because they were troublemakers. So I barred them, and they didn't like being barred. And I got threatened a couple of times. People said I got sawn off in my car and things like that, but no one actually did it until one night. And then all of a sudden, this guy on a motorbike goes around the side of the pub. Didn't really take much notice of him at first. Black leather, black leather jacket, black helmet, and he had a sawn-off shotgun on him, and he'd sort of sneaked around the side of the pub. He must have seen me stand on the front door with a couple of other doormen, and he's just literally, I've literally been saved by the fact that I had a phone call behind the bar. Yeah. Barmaid's called me, she went, "The phone call for you." So as I've walked off the door, he spun through the door and let go with both barrels with his sawn-off shotgun, just indiscriminately, boom, and blew the shit out the doors. And it would have been the end of my legs if I'd still been standing there. He sort of panicked after he let both barrels rip. I didn't. I mean, he could have reloaded, but he didn't. He jumped on his bike and buggered off. So yeah, that was a lucky escape, really. Yeah.
What's your first instance on something like that?
Well, my first thoughts.
What's your first thought? One, I'm glad I weren't there, but second thought says, right, I'm going to find out who it is. I know it is, and then are you jumping on top of that, getting people around you? Or are you thinking, right, I'm going to go straight to the source and deal with it?
Well, you obviously want to know who it is.
Yeah.
First of all, you're trying to figure out who it is.
Yeah.
Who have I pissed off? Who made threats? But the thing is, 9 times out of 10, you see, the people who make the threats don't carry out the threats. Yeah. I mean, they're not saying they don't always, because sometimes they will. Yeah. But most times you get threatened, as a doorman working in a rough place, you get threatened all the time. Yeah. And that used to be a red flag to report to me. Like if someone used to go, they get about 10 yards away and they go, I'll be dead, come here and do you, and I'll do that. And I go, do it now then. Yeah. Do it now. Yeah. I'm here, you're here, do it. And the amount of people I just walked outside and smacked because of that, because I hate being threatened. But the times that I did get shot at or threatened with a gun, no one made any threats. It just happened.
Right, okay.
Because it makes sense. If you're going to shoot somebody, you're not going to go, go and tell him a week before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, next week I'll be shooting you. You know what I mean? It's stupid, isn't it? Yeah.
Roll back to that other story there where you thought it was when you got shot out the first time. Mm-hmm. How long did that last for, the fear after that?
Months and months, a long time, probably best part of 6 months, I'd think, because... And in fact, even longer than that, really, because you never really, not for a long time, forget about that. Yeah. Because it's it's not an everyday occurrence, is it? People come running across the road. I mean, some of my mates went, they're probably just trying to scare you. I said, listen, they could have scared me from the other side of the road. They could have fired the gun in the air and scared me. Yeah. Listen, when someone actually pulls the gun up and is aiming at you, running towards you, going bang, 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 you are shitting yourself. I don't care who you are. But my immediate thought was to get away from it. Which I did. As I got in the car, they ran across, they fired, blew holes in the car. And I was on my way to the off license anyway, so I just went there, and then told him to phone the police. But then I was like, shit, I'm gonna get back to my house. But then I quickly rang around and sorted out a weapon because I felt like I needed it. I then tightened up security around my house. Alarm was fitted, trees were taken down where people could hide in the bushes, security lights fitted, all sorts of things. And then everywhere I went, I was very jumpy. I was very jumpy for quite a while. I mean, if anyone says, don't bother me, it does. Yeah. When you go to bed at night, most people aren't thinking someone could break in and shoot me. Yeah. I was for a while. So yeah, I mean, it was a sort of, I suppose, a healthy fear that keeps you alive. But it was, there's a couple of moments there where, for instance, I was in a club working, and all of a sudden your mind starts working over. Well, you think, I don't recognise him. He's getting a bit close. He's been watching me, and you start getting the paranoid thing, and that
must be horrible for you.
That's not good. Yeah. That's not good because you can't get on with your normal job.
Yeah. How did you get to a point of resolving that?
Well, at the time, the weird thing was I just met Dave Courtney. Yeah. I just become acquainted with Dave, and he's not everyone's cup of tea, I'm sure, but he reckoned he knew the family in London, and he said, I'll go and have a chat with him, and he did. Apparently, I mean, I wasn't with him. And after he had a word with him, nothing did happen. But I don't know whether I honestly to this day don't know whether what he's telling me was the truth, or whether he didn't do anything. They might have just not bothered coming back. Yeah. I honestly don't know.
Did it help your mind with Dave going, you know what, I'm going to go have a chat with him?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted, I just wanted it. I didn't want it to happen again. And next time, I didn't want him to come down and think, shit, we're going to keep doing this until we do get him. I've known other guys. There was another guy, one of the gypsies used to come into the place at Sittingbourne, Bill Marnie, or Brains as he used to be called. I think he got shot at, I think it was the third time that they actually killed him. But he got shot a couple of times the first time. Actually got 2 bullet holes in him. Then he got shot another time, 5 shots with a 44 Magnum.
Still stayed alive.
And he lived through that. Yeah. They shot him through the side of the face, the neck, the body, and he still lived, right? And then finally, someone properly finished him off. So I didn't want to be him. I didn't want to be the, we tried once, we'll come back tomorrow, So, yeah, I mean, anyone who could put it to bed and resolve it, then, yeah, great. It was, What
other things did you get up to with Dave Courtney?
Oh, Dave, he was one of the things about Dave. He used to have this saying. never let the truth get in the way of a good story, right? The trouble is, by saying that, you don't believe a word he says, do you, right? And Dave was a bit of a nightmare. So during the 90s, when I was spending quite a lot of time partying with him or around him, and with Mr. Tucker, Ian Tucker, I mean, everyone used to think, because we spent so much time around Dave, that Dave was like the gangster and we were his minders, basically. But I mean, I remember one time after he smashed his car up, and I had 3 cars on my drive at the time, and I said to him, "Look, Dave, you need a car. I'll lend you a car." And I didn't give him an expensive one because I know how bad he is in cars, right? So I gave him this little convertible, XR3i convertible. I went, "Listen, you can have that." I don't need it at all. So you can have that for a month if you want. I said, "Yeah, just bring it back the way you found it." So anyway, he said he's coming back down this weekend to see me. And I was working in a pub called Captain Digby out on the cliff tops. And anyway, he came there to see me, and he walked in. He went, "I need to have a word with you." I was like, "Okay, what about?" And he got this big bag of coke out. I went, "What are you doing?" He went, "That's for you." I went, "Dave, I'm at work. I don't want a bag of coke around me." He went, "No, I've smashed your car up." I went, "What?" I went, "What do you mean you smashed my car up?" He said, "Well, that's worth about the same as your car was." And he's trying to pay me off with a bag of coke. And I went, "Dave, I am not a drug dealer." He goes, "No, but you like a little bit." He goes, "You'll get through it eventually, won't you?" Right? I said, "Dave, if I get caught with that bag, I'll be gone. Right? I'll be away." I said, "Take it away." I said, "You go and sell it and repair my car." I said, "I do not want a big bag of coke. Just repair it." So I think about a month later, my car turns up all repainted and finished. And but he used to do things like that. Another day, another funny one. He come down one day. I mean, I used to come down to Margate quite a bit. He come down in the summer, and I used to have this. Big Renegade Jeep. It was a great big black and chrome thing with like big chunky fat wheels on it, and it was the nuts. And I should look like Action Man driving it, because I was in good shape at the time. And that's what I was driving. Anyway, and he come down one day and he said, "It's 4-wheel drive," and I'd never used the 4-wheel drive on it. So I went, "Yeah, it's 4-wheel drive. Of course, it's a Jeep, isn't it?" He said, "Well, let's go on the beach then." All right, and I just drive around the roads, And he used to have this horn on it. He used to push this like one of the illegal horns, right, everywhere he went, So like, anyway, so Dave wants to drive it down the beach. So we've gone down right on Margate seafront. We've gone down the slope onto the beach, and it's really soft sand there. And it's got on the sand, it's just got stuck. And he said, "Well, I thought you said it 4-wheel drive." And it's going, and it's just digging itself deeper and deeper up to the axles. So anyway, I'm trying to figure the 4-wheel drive out, and because I'd never used it. And I know now that you actually have to get out and you lock a thing on the hub. I didn't know that. So it was only working in 2-wheel. It was just getting deeper and deeper. By now, a crowd is forming, right? Because I'm fairly well known in Margate anyway, at this time, through the party scene, the clubs and everything, doing security. And there's Dave Courtney as well, who's also, a face from London. And we are stuck up to the axles on the beach. We've now got probably about 300 people leaning over, taking the piss out of us. And I went, "Fuck this." I went, "You got it stuck. You can get it out." And I walked away and left him there.
Did you leave him?
But he actually, he flagged down a lorry that was going along the seafront, and it had a rope on it. And he actually got this lorry to like drop the rope over the edge and like drag it out of the sand. And it wasn't until afterwards someone went, "You silly buggers, you had to turn this on the hub," and it would have driven out. But yeah. So I did have quite a few shits and giggles with. How
would you describe Dave? He's not with us anymore. He's, I think. And have you listened to the episode I did with Brendan, his best mate?
I think I've listened. I think I've listened to most of it.
There's some funny stories in there.
There's always funny stories because he was funny, but he wasn't funny to everybody. I'm not gonna. I mean, didn't do anything. Like I said, didn't do anything really bad to me. Trying to pay me in cocaine for a car was a similar thing. I sold him a motorbike once. I had this motorbike, which was a lovely bike, and he said, "I said, I'm thinking of selling it." He goes, "I'll have it," and it was like a collector's item. It was an American import. VMAX, but an American import, so it was worth a bit more than standard. And he went, "Yeah, I'll have it." I said, "If it's for you, Dave, you can have it cheaper." So I sold it to him for a couple of grand. Anyway, a week later, I'm in a club in Gillingham. I gave him a leather jacket and a helmet, by the way, as well. When he picked it up, I went, "You got a jacket?" He went, "No." I went, "Oh, I have a jacket. I have a spare one." Yeah, I have a helmet, all right? Jacket swamped him a bit. But anyway, he took the bike and off he's gone. I thought, "Oh, he'll enjoy that," thinking I've done my mate a favour. The next week, I'm up in Gillingham working in a club called The Zone, and the fella comes up to me, and don't know this fella, and this fella went, "I bought your motorbike." I said, "You what?" He said, "I bought your motorbike for Dave." I said, "You bought it?" He said, "Yeah, we sold it, made a load of money on that." I thought, "You twat." So again, it's the sort of thing he would do. Yeah, I mean, he didn't think nothing of it, but to me, it was a little bit, it just sort of hurt a little bit, He would do, but he was funny. He was very funny. If you wanted to go out for a night in London, then if you went with Dave, you probably didn't pay to get in anywhere, and you probably had free champagne all night.
And you'd have a proper laugh.
You would have a laugh, definitely.
Yeah. Was there ever a time when he overstepped the mark? You were like, oh, I feel uncomfortable about that when you were around him at all?
Yeah. Sort of over a female, actually. I think that was. Okay. Yeah, I nearly punched his head in. We went to a. I know my wife doesn't mind me saying this. I had an Australian girlfriend at the time, and there was a few of us had bought tickets to go to the award ceremony in the Albert Hall. You know, the British Film Awards and all that. And again, it's one of them things. You get on dinner suit and all that. Got the tickets, and we've gone up there. And again, this is in the sort of peak of probably where I was known in London very well by a lot of the doormen up there as well. But Dave was there with Steve McFadden. There was a lot of celebrities there, a lot of gangsters there.
Was he EastEnders?
Yeah. So Dave was like, literally with him. So he was all right. He's got a celebrity on his arm. I was there with my friends. But anyway, at the end of the night, they said, right, anyone who's got a VIP invite for the after party, just queue up over there. So I thought, I ain't got an invite, but I chanced it. I've got to give it a go, So anyway, I queued up with this long queue. I'm standing there, and my bird's going like, you haven't got an invite? I said, don't worry about it. I was with Blaggett. So there was 4 of us, actually. There was like another couple with us. So I got to the also, and I knew the doorman. He went, hey, Mark, you got an invite? I went, no. He went, oh, go on, you go through. But there was about 4 checkpoints. Now, this was the first checkpoint. I got through, no invite. Got to the next one, knew the doorman, through, no invite, right? Dave's a few people ahead of me in the queue, by the way, and he's not helping me here, right? He's not. So it's got to the actual, you walk across the red carpet where everyone takes all the photographs, yeah? So that's after the 3rd checkpoint. So and then you've got to get in the actual venue. And there was a woman on there that I did not know, right? And one security that I think did know me. So anyway, I got there and she went, invites? And I went, oh, I'm with Dave, right? And at that, I just pushed my way in. I just went, I'm with Dave, and Steve.
Carrying on walking?
I just kept walking. Yeah. And she went, that is fine. I went straight in the door. And I just legged it and hid.
Yeah.
So, and once you're in there, I think it was a free bar anyway. Yeah. So it was like everyone, it was like a real celebrities party. They didn't bother coming and getting me. I think one of the security went, oh, he's all right. But the thing was, so I got in there. Dave did not help me get in, right? But my girlfriend's all a bit starstruck. So I've gone, we've gone and got the drinks. I've gone off to the toilet or whatever. Come back, and my girlfriend's sitting on Dave's knee. And he's not known for his loyalty, Dave. And so I'm going, what are you doing? She sort of like wrapped around him like, a scarf. And I went, get off of him, like that. And I really wasn't happy. And Dave could see that. And Dave sort of got up, and Steve McFadden went, don't start nothing in here. Don't start nothing in here, please. And he went, look, you can take my limo. He said, I will drop you off at Brown's. We'll meet you there later. Yeah. Because that was the closest point. That's the closest point, I think. Around about the same time, Dave that was where I think probably about around the same time I got Zen's in Dartford, and that was the only door that I'd ever taken over where all the doormen wanted to walk out when I took it over, and they wanted to walk out because they thought I worked for Dave.
Oh, I see. They thought okay.
They actually went, we're not working for Courtney, and you're his boy.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm his mate. I'd go partying with him. And then it started, I said, Dave, have you been telling people I work for you?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I wouldn't do that. No, I wouldn't do that. But he did.
But at the time, you had how many men at peak?
200. Yeah.
200
men.
Yeah,
just over 200 men working every week.
That's a lot. That's a lot of men.
It was an army.
Right? That is a proper army.
It was an army, yeah.
I don't know many other doors around the country had as big as army as that.
There's a few.
There's a few.
Yeah, there's a few.
Have you heard of Chris Bailey up in?
Oh yeah,
Nottingham?
Yeah. I met Chris Bailey. Oh, crikey, when was that? When Luminar first came down to Margate and opened up a club called Kiki's.
Yeah, okay.
And Chris Bailey was like one of the brothers, and he was like a troubleshooter for them. Yeah. So they sent him and Warren Treasure down. Warren Treasure was an enormous black guy, huge guy. And I had the gym then. They both came and trained in my gym.
Oh, did they?
So I only got to know him. I spent 3 or 4 days with them probably. It might have been as much as a week, but I think it was like 3 or 4 days they were down for opening weekend. And they were really nice guys. Yeah. Trained at my gym. I got on great with them. I still got photos of them at home.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, quality.
Yeah. Really nice people.
Tell me about your gym. How old were you when you first bought your own gym? And then what was that feeling like? Because we all know when you're at the gyms, everyone goes there, all the faces, all the doormen. So it's like your shop window in the day, or And then at night was your,
Well, the thing was, you see, the way I wanted it to work at the time, I hadn't even thought about the door agency then. So I was a doorman. I would work for the council first of all. Then I worked for the council and the doors. Then I quit the council, went full-time doorman.
Yeah.
And then everyone just kept, my parents kept telling me, and my wife hated it, because of all the women around me.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I wanted, so the gym was going to be the way out of being a doorman. That was the idea. I was trying to save my marriage at the time, and make a bit of money as well. So what I did was I bought the gym off of Lloyd and Larry. They had the gym first. They opened the gym first.
How big was Lloyd at the peak? Because on episodes 1, 2, and 3, when we mentioned Lloyd, everyone's like, "Gotta get Lloyd on."
Everyone thinks he's black. He's a big white guy, by the way. Lloyd, called Lloyd. He's
at peak. How big, do you reckon?
Well, I mean, at the moment he's really heavy. He's a bit too heavy at the moment. He was 162 kilos the other day, but he's now 148 apparently. Yeah, he's on he's took the cherry off his trifle, but he's in his peak when he was in good shape.
Yeah.
He was a 6'4" guy, and he was about 22 stone, and he had like a 56-inch chest.
Bloody hell.
So he was just huge, and immensely strong. And like I said before, he's even today he's got this jaw. You just look at it and go, you might, if you hit him, you're going to hurt your hand.
Yeah.
It makes Arnold look like a fairy.
Yeah.
He's just a big dude. He's just, I don't know how much his skeleton weighs, but it's more than most people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he was a great guy to work with. He was like a massive anchor man. I mean, when you see him coming out the doors, you had a bit of, it did boost your confidence a bit. Okay. We're on the winning side.
Yeah. Was he your right hand man over the years?
Yeah, well, it was him, and there's another guy who was actually was sort of brought into it a bit later. Lloyd was 3 years older than me. In fact, his birthday's on the 17th this month. He'll be 65. So yeah, dear friend. But there's another guy who we've worked with. I want to give a mention to called Mario Michael. And Mario, when I had my gym, Mario was one of the young guys who used to come and train in my gym. But he was a bit of a boxer. Well, not a bit of a boxer. He was a really good boxer. But he also used to do a bit of weights. And he was a young kid, not even old enough to get in some of the bars when he started knocking out all the local hard men. I mean, really. I mean, he kept hearing his name kept popping up because he knocked around with some Herberts who were a bit naughty, but he wasn't the bad element, but he was the one that could have a row. But he was every weekend. You're like, oh, he's knocked out this guy, he's knocked out that guy, and these were fellas who were, you'd take them seriously if they come in. They're adults, and he was a teenager and he was walloping them. And anyway, so it got to a point. He was getting in as he got a bit older. He was getting into a lot of trouble. And I actually put it to him one day in the gym. I said, why don't you ever thought of being a doorman? And this is before the licenses, before you had to have a license. And he's like, well, no, I've never thought of that. And I went, well, I think you'd be a pretty good one. Because you're certainly tasty enough. And everyone in the town knows you. No one wants to fight you because you've got this big reputation now. But you're on the wrong side of it. You're not getting paid for it. You're doing it for nothing every week and you're knocking someone out for nothing. So anyway, I put him on. I put him on at Escape nightclub. And he must have been working there for. Obviously, when you work the doors, you don't drink. So he'd stopped drinking while he was working. So he was sober, and this guy's never taken drugs. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't do drugs. He's such a clean living guy. It's unreal. Super fit. And anyway, one of the chief inspectors at the time, David Bragg, drove past the club one day and saw him on the door. He's been there about 6 months already, but he saw him on the door and he went mad and he rung up like Thorley Taffins who owned the bar and said, I want him sacked. What's he doing? What's Mario Michael doing? Because he had such a bad reputation. Right? So then they've rung me and went, no, Mario's got to go. He can't work. And I was like, but he's been so good. Yeah. Right. So I rung this inspector up and I said, look, Mr. Bragg, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job. I said, I know you don't like Mario Michael. You don't personally get on with him. I said, but he said, it's a bit more than that. And I said, well, yeah, but have you had any problems with him in the last 6 months? He went, no. I said, well, that's because he's been work on the door. Yeah. I said, have you had any complaints about him on the door? I said, obviously not, because you didn't know he was there. Yeah. He went, well, no. I said, so you want me to sack him? I said, if I sack him today, he'll be out on the weekend on the piss again, knocking people out again, right? And having tear-ups. Yeah. I said, have a think about that. He went, yeah. He said, I see your point. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, I'll meet you halfway. He said, I'll give him another 6 months probation. He said, if he behaves himself for another 6 months on the door, he said, then we'll let him stay. Yeah. So that's what we did. And he ended up actually not just staying, but working his way up to being the head doorman of that venue. In fact, over the years, head doorman of many venues, and probably one of the most respected guys in that area. And what he did was, he did at one point, lose his license over something. He got involved, as you can imagine, in a lot of fights. But I've seen, I mean, this guy has got some serious boxing skills. He used to get in the ring and he would change sparring partners constantly for 45 minutes and not stop. Just spar for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And just keep going. New partner.
What sort of weight was he coming in at?
Oh, I don't even know what he is. I don't know.
Stone?
In stones, I don't know. What's he got to be? He's quite a chunk now.
Yeah.
In his days, he would have been like a middleweight or something. But he's quite. He's not fat. He's a lump now, but just bigger muscle because he's got older. But he now coaches, and he's got a Pedge Boxing Club in Margate, and he coaches mainly amateurs, but they've even got a professional license, I think now. Brilliant. But what it was a few years ago, I think, over a technicality on one of these big scraps that happened, they revoked his license. Okay. And so he had to find a way of earning money. The only thing he really enjoyed was boxing. So he went right into the coaching. It turns out it pushed him in the right direction. Brilliant. So now he's doing something he's passionate about, he loves, and he said I had lunch with him on my birthday this week. Yeah, and he said we were all telling stories.
What's your passions?
My passions. My biggest passion at the moment is probably my charity.
Yeah.
I've got hobbies. I mean, I've got hobbies, I like bike riding or archery or whatever. But my biggest passion in life is my charity in Thailand. In fact, on the way here today, I was actually on the phone to Thailand to a lawyer to help to start setting up, to get the paperwork ready to set up my foundation. Yeah. So I'm turning my personal charity into an actual registered foundation. Brilliant. Because I want to give back, and I want to do more for the orphans over there. And I've been doing a lot for 20 years. So I mean, it's something I love doing it. I'm already planning trips. We've already got 500 orphans arranged to take them out for a day out from 7 different schools to the beach and all this sort of thing. So that's
fair play to you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but you're very humble about that. But you've been doing that for 20 years and no one's known about it.
Yeah, I get all emotional. Yeah. It brings up a lot of emotions. I love it so much. The last 10 years, we've had a Facebook page, but I did 10 years just out of my own pocket, raising money in England, taking it there, spending it. I was thinking about it on the way today. Obviously, I made this phone call. If you put the reason I started it was if you put £1 in an Oxfam bucket, about 2 pence actually gets to the people that need it. Mm. So if I raise, averagely say £5,000 in a year, that's the same as raising like 150 grand going through Oxfam. Mm. So, and I like to go out and personally do it. So, I don't get out there as much as I used to, but so when I do go out there, I do try and arrange some things. I've got a trip to Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai. I'm going to visit, I think, 1 school in Chiang Mai and 2 in Chiang Rai, which we helped set up before. We've helped them along their way. A couple of them are up in the mountains, which have recently been flooded, by the way. Some of the places up there have been washed away. Terrible, terrible state. So we're going to have to see what we can do to help. But like I said, I'm not a big organisation. I'm trying to get it a bit more known and trying to get it out there a bit.
What's it called?
It's called Big Guy Charity. We have got a Facebook page. If this year goes well, what I'm going to do, I'll have the foundation set up. I've got another guy called Craig Blewett who's actually set up a website for me now, but I haven't got the website up and running yet. He's got the website just sitting there waiting for me, but I wanted to get the foundation set up so I can then put the link from the foundation to the website. Yeah. So then if anyone does want to, if they go to the website and they want to put a donation in, they can. So they'll be able to do it. So because once you get the foundation, you can then get a bank account set up in the foundation. Otherwise, it's like asking people to put money in my account. And that sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. We'll put a link down below. Put a link straight to the foundation. Anyone wants to chuck some money into the foundation, we'll get that.
Well, it won't be set up until I said they're getting all the forms ready now. And when I go out there on the 11th of November, I'll go straight in there and get it all set up. Yeah. So it'll be done. Our first charity event is scheduled is in February. It's about 2nd or 3rd, but I've got a trip to Chiang Mai in December, which I want to do, which is that's one of my. I love that one because on that one
that's up with the elephants and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we helped set up some schools up in the mountains. They're only little schools. They're not much bigger than this podcast room really. But if you imagine, you probably get like 20 kids in there or something. But if you think about it, if you get 20 kids a year, every year, the impact is phenomenal.
Yeah. What impact do you see visually straight away when you're up there?
I think they're surprised because we don't really tell them we're coming. Yeah. So we just sort of turn up, and we're never really sure of how much we can do until we can whatever money we can raise. Yeah. If we don't raise enough, then I normally just throw a load in myself. But it's But it is, we never know what we can do. So we go there, we visit, and we go, right, we've got this much money, what can we do?
Yeah.
What do you need? And then we go off and buy stuff, or they go and buy stuff, give us the receipts, whatever. We never just give them, very rarely give anyone just cash. We just don't trust anyone that much.
Yeah.
But there's a look on their little faces when they realise that outside people care, or the orphanage day out's wonderful because they don't get a day out. And so when you take 500 orphans to the beach and you just let them loose, and there's a big table of food and ice cream and drinks, and they just go mad for the day. And their little faces, we've probably got about, now it's been running for so many years, we've probably got about 20 helpers. Yeah. So we've got people who come along and help serve the ice creams, the food, the drinks all day long. And it's awesome.
That feeling must be amazing.
It's amazing.
And knowing that you can make a big difference to these young kids.
Yeah, and because we've been doing it for so long also, if you go year in, year out, the only time we had a break was when we had the pandemic for 2 years. But when you see the same kids and they're growing, they're getting bigger and bigger, and some of them actually then come back. Some of the kids that we knew first are now actually working in the school as teachers or helpers. There was a little girl last time. It really got to me. We actually went and visited her afterwards. Her mum had locked her in a flat or a room and took a load of drugs and gone. And this little girl could have died. She was like and all she wanted to do was cuddle her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just wanted a big hug off for everybody. Yeah, it was really sad. It was like, and it was really, after the end, she fell asleep on this woman's lap on the beach when we were doing the charity day. She just cuddled up to this lady, fell asleep. And at the end of it, when everyone was clearing away, she was still asleep. And they said, oh, can we take her back to school? So they lifted her up, and we didn't notice her little slippers fell off.
Yeah.
Right? So they'd got in the bus and gone, and there's these little flip-flops. So we thought, we tracked her down. So my wife and I took the flip-flops back and bought her like a big cuddly toy and a load of things and dropped them into the school to her. And then that's when we got all the full story about what was going on with her. So it's hard not to get emotionally involved.
Yeah. Do you get to see what's happened to every kid?
Not every kid, but you
read, and someone gives you feedback on.
You get, you get a little bit of feedback. But the nice thing is, you recognise faces when you've been doing it as long. I guess the point now, I'll be walking in this. I'll be going into a 7-Eleven shop in Thailand or something, and I'll get 2 or 3 kids to go, "Sorry, cup," because they recognise me from the charity, which is awesome. It's lovely. It's really lovely, and it's nice to be able to do something good. And the money goes a lot further over there. It does. You can get a lot more done with the money and affect a lot more lives.
Let's roll back.
Yep. So back into the other world.
That's amazing, mate. It's lovely.
Sorry if I do get a bit emotional.
Yeah, but that's good to see, man. You're putting a lot of effort into that, and you're affecting people's lives, improving kids' lives. Give them something they've never had before.
Yeah, it's
love.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's roll back into the gym here. You said that you your wife was trying to get you off the door because there was too many women around, and you haven't told. How old were you when you got the gym, and how many years did you have that gym for, and what was the gym lifestyle like for you?
I think I was something around about 25 or 26. We remortgaged our house to buy it.
Yeah.
And I know you know what that's like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got this gym, and I was told it was making so much profit a week. Anyway, it wasn't. It was losing hundreds of pounds a week.
Yeah. Where's the gym?
In Margate, just down the road from the police station. Convenient spot. It was, because the police station's on Fort Hill and this is down Fort Road.
Yeah.
So all the police used to shortcut through this little road past my gym. But it was a big gym. It was a 4,500 square foot on 3 floors. So it was a big old gym. And when I got it, it was pretty good. But the equipment was a few years old, so I recovered and repainted all the equipment. I repainted the gym. I turned it around. I had such a passion for it. And I got it from losing a few £100 a week, which in them days was quite a lot of money. And I turned it around in a month, so it was making £1,000 a week profit, which was awesome. And £1,000 a week then was like a lot of money, a lot of dough. Yeah. So I thought I was having the high life. I could actually afford to buy a car, and it was like, I know it was good. But I was in there probably I probably had about 4 or 5 years. And I started the door agency when I was about 30, and then it was after having the door agency a while that I finally got rid of the gym.
Okay.
I ended up getting divorced from the wife, and she actually put a court order on the gym.
Did she?
Yeah.
And that's why you had to leave it?
Yeah, I had to leave it. Yeah, I had to get out. There was a court order on the gym. I basically left. I left the relationship with 5 bin liners full of clothes and a portable TV. We are friends now.
Why did you split?
Basically, I think we were both as bad as each other, but we were married too young. Okay. We were together from when I was 18, she was 17. She was pregnant within the first 3 months. I met her. I got a lovely son out of it.
I met him at the festival.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, lovely fellow.
But I mean, in early days, we were together too young, too soon, and just, we just grew apart. I'll just be polite and say that. We were both, neither of us were the most faithful at the time.
Yeah.
So I put it down to that. And I was a bit of a Jack the Lad in them days as well. I thought I was anyway. So yeah, I had an affair. She'd already had an affair. We broke up, But anyway, so it all went a bit like that. I ended up in a bedsit. I ended up in a horrible little bedsit in Arthur Road in Cliftonville. So that's when I started my door agency, because out of desperation. Yeah, I needed something to do, something to earn more money. That was when I started the actual door agency. But yeah, the gym days were good, but even they had their problems. I mean, we had, like, when I said on here before, like, I never got involved in the, although I went to raves and took pills and whatever, but I never got involved in the drug dealing. But having said that, I mean, in the gym, some people would call it drug dealing, the police would call it drug dealing. Most gyms across England serve up steroids to their patriots, the people who go there, or people who train there want steroids. So in the old days, there used to be this guy, Andy Farr, who used to he'd come down from London and he would drive around all the local gyms, once every couple of weeks, and he'd ask if you wanted any of, testosterone, you wanted some Deca, you wanted this, you wanted Dianabol. So your people in the gym would put an order into you, and then you'd put an order and you'd put a couple of quid on top of it. And so I suppose you were dealing steroids. But, the thing with steroids, just to explain to those who don't know, steroids are not illegal to have. They're not illegal to possess as long as they're for you, but they are illegal to buy or to sell. All right, so it's a bit of a weird law. Yeah. You can have them, but you can't buy them. Yeah. You can go abroad, buy some if it's for you, and you can bring a 3-month supply back into the country for you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What country did you go to?
In the old days, me and one of my mates went to Tenerife. You used to be able to buy them in Tenerife at the time. I don't know if you still can. It was a long time ago. But we went to Tenerife to buy steroids, and we only went there for 4 days, and it was just a mission: buy steroids, go home. All right, fill a suitcase up with them. We weren't taking 3 months supply; we were taking like a 2 years supply. But yeah, even that would go quite as smoothly as it should have done. We booked a flight. Didn't book a hotel. I thought, loads of hotels there, be no problem. When I get there, I'll get a hotel. So we arrived at about 2 a.m. So we got to Los Americas, right? And I went to this hotel that I'd stayed at before. I went, I'd like to check in. No, she come back at 7 a.m. I went, what? You can't, no. So we're dragging our suitcases around all night. Kept getting turned away. Maybe it's because we was ugly, I don't know. But I was sure if there was a couple of pretty birds, they'd probably give us a room, but they wouldn't. So we kept getting turned away. By 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm really pissed off and really knackered. I'm dragging his suitcase around Los Americas for like 2 hours going, no. And I thought, right, I'm gonna go back to the front of the hotel, leave the suitcase in the reception where they said we could go tomorrow. But I'm going to go around the back and climb over the wall and go and lay on a sun lounger. I thought it was a good plan. Anyway, so I went around the back. It's pitch dark. I'm climbing over these tennis courts, whatever. I've climbed over this wall, and it was a lot further down than what I realised. So I've gone, and I've crashed into this thorny bush. Right, I've got prickles and thorns, and I'm screaming in agony because I've landed in this thorny bush. And then this German Shepherd guard dog, that's obviously doing his job, has come roaring down the she's like, rah, 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 right, and I'm going, shit. So I went, rah, back at this dog, and he shit himself and ran off. I went, come on, Ricky, come over.
Let's go.
So my mate Ricky climbed over and avoided the bush. So we got in there and we just laid on the sun lounge. I think the pool cleaner woke me up in the morning. I'm snoring my head off yeah.
What was it like having the old Bill pretty much on the same road as your gym? Because there would have been all sorts of characters coming in and out of the gym. Did it cause you any ag at all?
No, I never really had a great relationship with the police, did I? But
did I?
Yeah, not for a long time. I get on right with a lot of them now, even the ones that have arrested me. But I went through a bit of a stage where I must have been a bit of a nightmare for them, I'm sure. But yeah, we're going back to the steroids and the gym thing, right? So I upset another crowd of people from London. This guy used to come around and sell the stuff, right? So he kept putting the prices up, right? So let's say you pay £2 for a shot of Deca and you sell it for £3. You only make £1 a shot. You're not making a fortune. You're not a big drug dealer or anything. But, if you sell a few hundred shots, you spend a few hundred quid, right? It helped pay the bills. So this guy kept putting the price up. And in the end, I went to mate, I said, I'm sorry, it's too expensive. I can't buy it from you. So, and I spoke to a few of the other gyms, and he'd done the same thing to the Herne Bay gym, the Ramsgate gym. I was in Margate. And they all went, so we all got together and went, what can we do? We go somewhere else. So we just wanted to, trying to find someone else for our customers, basically, our clientele. So we found a gym in Southend called Progress House. I hope, and he's probably, I don't know if Jim's still there, but he's a guy called Jim Connors, top bodybuilder in England. He used to get all the pros ready. Lovely, lovely, lovely guy. Family man. Nice guy. I went up there and see him and I said, look, any chance we can get a few bits off you? Because we knew he knew what he was doing. And so he was like, yeah, so no problem. So we put this order in, so quite a big order, probably a couple of grand's worth, which was a big order in them days. Anyway, a couple of weeks before a week before I was supposed to pick it up, he rings me up and he said, I'm about that stuff. He goes, I'm not doing it. I went, has someone like threatened you or something? You sound scared. I've got a family, I don't want to say anything. They haven't they? They've threatened you. So this lot from London have like put it on him. Basically, they must have figured out where we've gone. Someone's snitched or whatever. And so they've threatened him and his family. So he's not going to sell to us. So that really pissed me off. And so I rung the other lot up in London. I went, listen, you want to threaten someone? I said, don't threaten him. Yeah. I said, come and threaten me. I said, pick on because he was a bit older than me then. I said, pick on an old man, right? And so I said, you only come and threaten me. I said, but you won't come and threaten me. And they did.
Did they?
So I used to open my gym up in the morning. I think it was 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And my dad then, who was alive then, he was in his 70s and he was on crutches, and he used to come in the morning to have a cup of coffee with me and just have a little mosey about in the gym. So there was only like maybe a handful of people that come in that early. So I'm in the gym and I'm hoovering up and tidying up, putting the weights away from the previous night, and these 3 great big lumps have walked through the door. Like you see these big silhouettes come in. I thought, oh, new customers. No, it wasn't. They went, want to word with you? Want to word with you upstairs? And I thought, shit. Yeah. I thought, I'm not going upstairs with 3 great big lumps. Yeah. So I sort of skirted around them and managed to get out the front door past them. So they've come out the front door, which is in this like Fort Road, down the road from the police station. So they've backed me up against the wall. I've got 3 of them standing around me. And all of a sudden, this carving knife has come out and been put under my bollocks. And then this other guy pulls out a club hammer, like a proper club hammer, and he's holding it at my head. So I'm up against the wall like that with 3 of them, and I'm thinking, shit, I'm either going to get my bollocks slit open or I'm going to get my head caved in, or both. And they're going, you buy off us or you buy off no one. Right? And I'm thinking, shit. Anyway, and I was proper crapping it. I was having big old lumps, right? So anyway, my dad's curious. He's seen me just go running outside, and these 3 guys come out. So he's got on his sticks, and he's opened the door, and one of them shoved him back in, pushed him. And that was it. I just flipped. I just went, don't you touch my old man. He's on crutches. So I started growling at them, and they jumped back. To my amazement, they all took a step back, and I thought, I'm on a winner here. So I went, right. I said, you come down here. He said, we'll just come down to talk. I said, what, you with the carving knife, you would have done. Anyway, and I said, and him, he keeps putting the prices up. And they went, he what? He puts the prices up. When? I went, every bloody week. So now, all of a sudden,
they've turned on him.
Equality. Yeah. He said, we haven't put the prices up. So yeah, basically the guy, this Andy Farr, apparently he's been doing this to other places as well. He'd been like trying to nick a bit extra off the top. Yeah. But what he'd done is lost him a load of customers. Yeah. So it sort of backfired on him in the end. But I didn't appreciate the approach. I would have preferred a phone call, you know what I mean? But yeah, so it got me. I mean, that was there were some big dudes and all. Yeah, I mean, in their day. I'm trying to get Reg Parker. He had Shapes Gym in Eltham. Yeah. He was a well-known beast of a man. And then there was Peter Davis and this Andy Farr. So they were all lumps, yeah.
Are they still about today?
And I think 2 of them might be. I think Andy Parker's gone. I think Peter Davis is around, but I'm not sure how well he is. And then Andy Farr, I haven't and don't want to see him.
Don't want to see him again.
Ever.
Would you, regarding steroids back then, no one was telling you how much to take or what to do. No. You were just banging it in. Has that had a knock-on effect in later life for you, do you think?
I'd say definitely. If I could do my time all over again, I would be a lot kinder to my body. Yeah. I really would. I'm not enjoying very good health at the moment. I look all right on the outside, but there's a lot of things going wrong on the inside. But yeah, you didn't know what to take, when to take. You were taking advice off of other people who didn't know what to take. Your
mate Dave around the corner says take that,
yeah. I mean, to be honest, you all gave the best you knew, but you didn't know a lot. Yeah. I mean, nowadays, it's different. Nowadays, if I was going to do it all over again, for starters, I would get my blood work checked regularly. I would make sure I was buying proper steroids. I wasn't just buying it. You've got to be so careful. I mean, not saying that some of these people knock this stuff up in a bathtub. Yeah. I'm not being funny. They make some of them, Pumped make some really good stuff. Yeah. But there's a lot of homemade stuff out there. And some of it's not good. And some of it might not have anything near what what it says on the label, you know. So it would be better if they legalised it, really. I mean, I used to actually go, at one point, I was quite lucky. I got introduced to a doctor in Southend, and you used to pay him 15 quid, and he was a gay doctor. He used to go and grope your nuts. That was the only worst bit about it. So you go in here and you go, cough, what do you want? So there'd be a line of us. There'd be like, you go to his waiting room, there'd be like a big line of bodybuilders sitting there going, I've got to go and get our bollocks grabbed, you know. But it was quite funny. I don't know if I can remember his name. I think it was Fisher. I think he got struck off in the end. He was one of these doctors in the 80s who was like prescribing slimming pills and all that whizzing pills. Yeah. But he was prescribing steroids for everybody. And then all of a sudden, right, so we used to actually we used to take our prescription into Boots. It was a private script, but you just take it into Boots and you get real Deca-Durabolin and real Sustanon that really worked. So at least we were taking good gear, no shit. But one day, all of a sudden, we rang him up for an appointment. He's like, no, I've been struck off. Fiddling with someone probably. Yeah. But anyway, so we went, oh shit, what are we going to do? So I thought, I have a bright idea. I'll photocopy him. Right, so I actually knew a printer at the time. In those days, you weren't like laser copiers like there are now. Yeah. So I took one of these private scripts and I went, can you sort of like blank all that writing out and just do me loads of scripts, private scripts. So he printed them out for me. So I got all these private scripts. Then I spent a month doing his signature. Yeah. Right, I got so good at his signature, I could do it now if you gave me a pen and paper. Right, this many years later. So I then started writing prescriptions for people who are like mates of mine. So, what do you want? Deca? Yeah, okay. Right, but you've got to know how to write it. Yeah. It has to be written a certain way. Yeah. So I copied off the old scripts that I had, but then did forged his signature. And it was working well for years, for a few years anyway, until one of the people that I did that for copied my copy. Right, okay. And then tried to get himself some amphetamine. And then the police went, they went straight in there. And then I was a bit worried for a while because they went into all these pharmacies, had all these scripts from like, they were taking all these ones that had the same, heading. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but luckily, well, not luckily, but I mean, the guy that actually forged my forgery actually killed himself. And they thought he was the one behind it all. Ah, right. So okay. it didn't get investigated further than that.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for that.
What was when you go back and look at the steroids you're taking, what was the one steroid you would say, if I was to do it again, I would just stick to that? Did they, like you said, you mentioned dining there, you mentioned different ones. Did you know what the effects were having on you, or was it just a concoction you're throwing in you?
You did after you took them.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying, but do you know like a certain one would do a certain thing? What?
Well, you only didn't have a great choice in the old days. You had right. So Dianabol would be like a beginner's choice. Yeah. So I mean, if even now, if someone said to me, I've never taken steroids before, what should I take? I'd say, well, look, give it a trial on this. And Dianabol will put a lot of size on you, but it will retain a lot of fluid. But I've seen people on their first course of steroids on Dianabol gain 2.5 stone in weight in like 10 weeks, 12 weeks. It's a lot of extra weight, a lot of extra strength, but they will get a bit bloated. But then you get on to things like Sustanon. Sustanon's a testosterone. It's a 4 testosterones in one, so it's got different esters in there. So it's got some that act very fast and some that are slow acting. So you've got propionates, entonate, and so that's a nice one because it sort of tends to, it's like a time release testosterone. But it's very potent. And then you get something like Deca-Durabolin, which, is also a very well established. I mean, basically, someone like back in the old days, like Sustanon, Deca, and Dianabol was what most of the bodybuilders used as their basic stack. Now it's got much more complicated than that. Yeah. And there's all these different, I'm not up to date because I don't do it anymore. Yeah. Simple as that.
When did you stop taking steroids?
Not that long ago. A few years ago, I was having a blast on it. And that was I probably went on too long. I think I should have stopped a long time ago. I did have a break for about 5 years. And I always took cycles. I didn't just take it all the time like some people do. I always took time off of it, which is probably why I sort of, I didn't get too many problems from it. But the last, I had a little bit of a boost when I was in my mid-50s or something like that. And I was probably doing 1,000 milligrams a week or something like that, which, it probably didn't do me any favours.
What would you take today? From the stuff that you see today, what would you take to go, I'm going to get a nice boost of testosterone or something like that?
What would I personally take? I don't know. If I'd still go back to the basic things that I trusted. Yeah. But over the long, they did start making different blends. So the last time I was doing it, I liked some of the fast-acting testosterones because they're in and out of your body really quick. So when you do if you do a 10-week course or 12-week course or whatever, when you come off, it's out of your body in like 48 hours more or less. You know what I mean? Whereas if you take something like a Sustanon, it's still in there for another 3 weeks. Deca-Durabolin is still detectable in your body up to like 9 months after you've
Is
had
that
it.
right?
Even though it's not actually doing much, but it's still detectable. If you was like, like one of the Olympians going for a drug test, they'd still find it in your system.
Right.
But I'm not an authority on it by no means. So there's so many people now, there's so much information on the internet, so many websites you can go to and get proper advice. But yeah, there was a lot of blends that were done, mixtures of things, and they're in some ways my favourites. There's like a ripped blend and they put like making like a blend of 2 or 3 different steroids. There was a Mass 400 which one of my friends was manufacturing, which was really good. Yeah, a lot of people gained.
Give me an example of you training how many times a week, and then you want to cycle of steroids. What was the feeling like when you know you're getting stronger, you're getting bigger, you're getting heavier? How long did it take? Is that feeling amazing?
Yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, that pump you get and everything. But I mean, when I had the gym was probably about my best period of training, probably because when you actually own your own gym, but then you have to break it down. So instead of where you would go to a gym, obviously I was in there all day. So I would I'd go in the morning, tidy the gym up, and then I'd have someone come in and I'd train one body part. Say I'd train chest in the morning with someone. And then after a really big chest session, I'm not very good chest, but I'd have a good session in the gym, and then I'd go and get some lunch, and sort of recharge your batteries. Then someone might come in the afternoon and I'd train arms with them.
Okay.
So I would train twice a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Pretty much, so I gained, that's why I gained, and I probably overtrained, to be honest. I don't think you really need to train that much, but when you're in the gym all that time, save getting bored, do a body part at a time, you're fresh when you do the body part. Whereas now I go in the gym and I have to do an hour and a half, but I'll do a warm up, do a bit of cardio, do a bit of abs, do a chest, do bicep. I've got a job to get that all in an hour and a half, really.
And can you see, and how quickly can you see your body growing?
When you're young, when you're young and you're new to it, and when you're on the juice, I mean, the biggest I grew, the fastest, was when I actually prescribed myself some growth hormone.
Oh, okay.
And it was real growth hormone then, not synthetic. But I managed to get this growth hormone, and I think I was taking 4 IUs. It came in a 4 IU box, which is not a lot, really, by today's standards. But
injecting that?
Yeah. So you're taking a 4 IUs subcutaneously under the skin, and every night. And I was injecting that in the night, but I also boosted you boost your testosterone levels right up. So I was taking loads of testosterone with it. I was eating 8,000 calories a day.
8,000?
Yeah, I was trying to hit 8,000.
How are you banging that in?
Oh, it's just non-stop
That's
eating.
hard work.
It's just non-stop eating. But I gained a stone in the first week. And then I gained another half a stone in the second week, and another half a stone in the third week. And so I put on I put on 2 stone, like boom, overnight. But then I started having heart palpitations.
Yeah.
I was like, well.
And how long would that cycle last for then?
That particular one, when I started getting the heart palpitations, I backed off it.
Yeah, okay.
Because I actually shit myself. I think I overdid it. I put either it was too much gear or too much weight gain or too much, but it was too much of everything. I mean, your body just shouldn't be growing that fast, that quick.
Yeah.
But my strength went through the ceiling. I don't know. I remember we had a multi-gym, right, and I was doing a shoulder press with 120 kilo stack, and I had the girl who worked in the gym standing on top of that. And I was shoulder pressing it. So it's no wonder I ended up with 4 shoulder operations.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you was throwing people around the nightclub at the time.
It must have felt easy.
It just felt easy. I just picked someone up one hand, It was like, I couldn't do it now.
No.
Something would snap. But yeah, so when you're getting in, when you
Did you feel invincible at times?
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you did. You really did start to believe your own bullshit.
Yeah.
But you just, you felt like, you just felt so powerful. But again, like I say, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And
what about the mind? How did the mind feel? Because sharper, were you?
I'll be honest about it, as I am with all these things, right? I never had like complete insanity road rage, but I was definitely a short-tempered. When I used to look out for it, whenever you start, what it is, I'll explain it like this so everyone can understand it. When a woman has a period, it's a hormone imbalance, yeah? And what do most women do when they have a period? Yeah? I want to kill you, right? It's it's the same with steroids. So when you start taking testosterones, and a healthy male produces 15 milligrams of testosterone a day naturally, which is a nice little ripple of testosterone. When you whack in 250 milligrams of Sustanon, or you do that twice a week, or you do 1,000 milligrams a week, your testosterone goes whoosh. So you go, you can't really help it. You can control it, which I did. I think I did anyway. But I can also remember being a lot. I should have to watch out for it when, not so much all the way through, but when you go on, when you come off, it's like once you've been on it a few weeks, I used to tend to sort of level out.
Yeah.
And get, well, I think I did anyway.
Yeah. Well, level out injecting
level out.
more,
No. I mean, level out mood wise.
Okay,
your mood
mood-wise.
levels
Okay.
out.
Yeah,
Because but when you first go on a course, then it's a huge hit on your body. It's a huge hit on your hormones. So it does. It causes a mood change. It causes short-temperedness.
Yeah.
And even little things that really you wouldn't normally make you angry,
bug you. Yeah.
really bug you. Little silly things, you know.
Yeah. Like what?
Oh, I don't know. Like someone pulling out in front of you.
Yeah. Okay. So more road rage.
You're quicker to anger.
Yeah.
So obviously, when you're a doorman, then you've got to really control that because you can't afford to do that. You know, you can't afford to just get angry all the time.
So you've done doorman. You've been on the doors for 40 years. Out of that 40-year period, listen, in business and as an entrepreneur, we get better and better with age, and you tweak things, you learn things. From day year 1 to year 40, what period do you reckon you were the best doorman?
Probably sort of just over halfway through. So once you had enough experience that you dealt with a load of things, you weren't going to see much new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I know how to deal with that. And you've dealt with it before in the wrong way, and you've learned a lesson from it. So once you got all that experience under your belt, let's face it, if you've done 20 years, so halfway through, like I'm saying, you did 20 years of any job, you're going to be pretty damn good at it. You know, and also you're still young enough, strong enough, but now you're smart enough.
Yeah.
So that was at the point where you're more educated. You saw better ways of doing things rather than, I mean, look, I'm sure there's every doorman that's ever done a door. I'm sure if you went back to your first early few years on the door, you go, I wish I'd done that different. There's loads of things, but as long as you learn from it, then it's not a bad thing. It's a lesson. And then you get good at it. You get good at dealing with people. You get better at talking to people.
Read a room.
Reading a room, reading how people react, everything just gets a bit more refined.
Have you found that people, when you come to Bournemouth Sevens Festival a couple of months ago, people recognise you?
Yeah, quite a few.
I had loads of people come up to me, go, Dodge, that's the geezer you had on the podcast.
Yeah.
Dodge, I was getting tugged from all random people, like I didn't know. Like,
it was. I had quite a lot of comments, I had nothing horrible, lovely comments, and nice people coming up and going, it's you, innit? It's you.
Yeah. As you saw, it's a fucking good-looking, pretty crowd, isn't it?
Lovely, friendly, and the older people that were in there were like old ravers.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
myself.
Yeah,
and there was all this to be honest, I should have spent more time on the dance floor. Because that's where we had the best fun the last year. That was brilliant down there.
Getting involved.
DJ was brilliant. Music was brilliant.
Marcus, mate, another absolute banger.
I still didn't get to tell my story about being run over.
No, mate. Again, we've never done 4 parts to anyone.
I know.
Again, if there is people wanting a part 5, I'm sure we'll be able to do a part 5. I'm sure you've got loads more stories.
And if there's any people out there that I have helped out over the years, I'd love to hear a little comment about the story to remind me about it, and maybe we can put it.
Do you know what? What a great idea! Anyone who's ever come across Marcus over the years, leave the comments below.
Either way,
amazing.
Yeah,
mate, you're a gentleman.
Thank you.
Mate, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
A real pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Good man, Marcus.
Cheers, mate.
Take care, mate.
Bye.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Can you do us a favour and subscribe to the channel? It's totally free and it massively helps our show. Cheers, guys.